Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estella.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime.
Sorry, I had to get that out.
That was a lot.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to say it in the middle of the intro, but I was like, no, let me hold it a little bit.
Well, good for you. We hope that you are having a wonderful day. Thank you to Cafecito. Thank you. Well, let me say that again. Welcome to Cafecito and Crime. How are you doing today?
Cold.
Mid.
For no reason though. Like I'm fine, you know? Like
nothing is wrong.
No.
Pero you're just mid.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So I just had a whole almost 2-hour ordeal with my son.
Why?
Because I went to go get his haircut. And then after the haircut, I was like, oh, pues we're going to try a new coffee place, right? Y luego fui por el café todo chido, right? And they even gave me an extra coffee porque they got the order wrong. Nada, my son is like, que tiene muriéndose de hambre el hombre. Muriéndose. So I was like, you know what? Hay un Chick-fil-A 9 minutes from here. Let me take him to Chick-fil-A y me vengo. So in the Chick-fil-A, every Chick-fil-A, I don't know if you noticed, but they're a little bit different now. Like they said, drive through this way, and then the regular people that are going to order here. So then I drive up, y luego te dice to take a picture of the QR code, y luego it tells them that you're there. So I kept trying to take the picture, and it wouldn't take anything. It kept telling me.
Oh, that's why you texted me. We're stuck at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, and so then nada que, like I kept trying to take the picture. So then pasó un muchacho. Obviously, these are kids. So I'm like, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. I'm like, I'm here for my order, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's okay. Walks away. He doesn't go and tell him anything. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm having a hard time. Like, can you help me? So then pasó como 15 minutes y nada. Everybody's getting their order. My son, otra vez. I'm so hungry. Cállese el hocico. So then ya le dije, excuse me otra vez. Dijo, let me ask. So they went and asked again. Y ya el otro muchacho went.
But aren't you holding up the line?
No, porque the people could go around me. Haz de cuenta que this line, you can go around. So there was a whole line behind me. And I'm just sitting there because I'm like, I mean, I ordered and I kept looking to make sure I ordered at the right Chick-fil-A, whatever. Apparently something was up with the thing. System or whatever.
Yeah.
Y ya después so then I drove home, pero yeah, it was very interesting time. Pero a mí todo me pasa.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm sure you're not the only one, brother.
And so where are we going today, sister?
For today's case, we are going to Danbury, Connecticut.
Oh, I've always wanted to see Connecticut. Like, go to Connecticut? Mm-hmm. It must be pretty, huh?
I think so.
I don't know, pero it must be pretty. So if you'd like to go with us to Danbury, Connecticut.
Danbury,
Connecticut.
Yes.
Go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started. Now, the first fun, random, interesting fact.
Brought to you by Mari.
No. Not at all. She helped none.
Oh, okay.
Is that the town was once known as the hat capital of the world.
Hats. They made hats there.
Hats.
Órale.
During the 19th and 20th centuries, it produced millions of hats annually.
Millions.
Wow. Before the industry's decline in the 1950s.
Oh,
I know.
People stopped wearing hats.
Well, not as much as like they did like, in 1900s, you know?
Y me imagino que they must have been like handmade and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Like the Hatters, that's where the term came from.
The Mad Hatters.
Now, the second is that during the Revolutionary War, Danbury was used for storing military supplies for the American Army.
Oh.
So in the early morning of April 27th of 1777, the British Army set fire to several stores and buildings in town, and then they quickly left. But because a 16-year-old boy named Sybil Luddington ran 40 miles the day before, reportedly to warn the people of Danbury that the British were coming.
Oh, the British are coming.
But it saved a lot of people and minimized the damage.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I think that was Paul Revere somewhere else.
Oh, puta madre.
Pues I'm sure there was...
Well, there was a lot of British coming.
Yeah.
Sí. Okay. Pero so, Sybil, I like that name, Sybil.
So the British...
They came.
They came and they were like, we're going to burn this bitch down.
And they burned the bitch down.
Not todo. It's not todo. Because Sybil was like, no, they're coming.
Well, good. At least Sybil saved a lot of people.
Yeah.
How old was he?
16.
Look at you, Sybil, being a 16-year-old.
Yes.
I like it.
That he's a 16-year-old?
No, that he did a good job.
Oh,
that
yes,
he went to warn people.
Yes.
What the fuck?
So today we'll be discussing the murder of Joe Vuli.
Say that again.
Joe Vuli.
You sounded like you said Joe Vuli.
Oh.
Joe Vuli?
So, Seth Vulovic, which was his legal name.
I was about to say, was it short for Joseph or something like that?
Seth. His name was Seth.
Seth
Vulovic, which was his legal name, but was known as Joe Vuli. So that's how I'll refer to him, was born on May 27th, 1962 in Albania.
Okay.
There isn't much information about his upbringing. What we do know is that in his youth, he and his parents and his 4 brothers and 2 sisters left a war-torn country for Italy, where he grew up on working on a farm.
Oh, okay.
The whole family later relocated. What did I say? The whole family?
You said the whole family, like, whoa there, buddy.
The whole family relocated to New York, where they did set up restaurants and were very successful in the restaurant
Look at
business.
them. Immigrants that were making a difference.
Joe began as a prep cook at the age of 15.
Wow.
He rose in the ranks throughout the years, from going from saute cook to sous chef to executive chef at various restaurants, from I think it's Minos Estrello in Manhattan, Giardino's in Bear Cliff Manor, and then Balbella in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Wow.
So in June of 1999, he and his brother Paul opened up their own restaurant, Vuli, atop of the Marriott in Stamford, Connecticut. So this wasn't like the first restaurant. I think they already had one prior, and I'm talking about Joe specifically. But
Not his family in general had more. Okay,
yeah, like his family and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but his whole family would become very successful in the restaurant business.
Now, I know this is probably a dumbass question, but what were they cooking? Like, what kind of food was it? Do you know?
I would want to say Italian.
Oh, okay.
I want to say.
Oh.
By this point, Joe was married to Valbona, and the couple had 2 daughters, Cynthia and Natalie, which it was reported that he did have really good relationships with. So as the success in the restaurant business continued, Joe opened up a new restaurant, Gusto, in January of 2003 in Danbury. This time he partnered up with his nephew, who was like a son to him, Marash Gojcaj, and a silent partner. Gusto was an upscale Italian steakhouse serving its food on Wedgwood china.
Oh, cool.
I know.
What is Wedgwood china? I'm about to find out.
I was about to say.
Because I'll buy me some too. Be like, I got this Wedgwood china up in here.
What do you know about
What do you know about that Wedgwood?
China? Yeah. So the business was slow to pick up, but once it did, it stayed busy. I'm not sure what Joe's position was at Vuli's, but at Gusto, he was the head chef and he was very highly regarded.
No, it's just I would have thought it was wood, but it's not. It's actually made out of ceramic.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. Does it make things different? Like, I wonder if it affects something.
I don't know.
No, because it's extremely rare due to color bleeding issues.
Oh, okay.
So then it's very, apparently, like, they have different kind, but there's some that are very popular, very expensive or valuable because they're the ones that are dyed with blue, sage, or green, or black.
Wow.
But the ones that are more common are just in white because of the way that it's, I guess, like, dyed.
Okay.
So, yeah. Interesting. Okay. Oh, damn. A 5-piece set, just like 5 pieces of one piece que tiene like the plate and the salad plate and then the dessert plate and a mug, $155.
I don't know anything about China, so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Though Joe's business ventures were successful, his personal life was in shambles.
Oh.
His marriage to Valbona had crumbled terribly. Their marriage had been plagued by domestic incidents. In 2000, Joe was arrested for second-degree break of the peace. Again, in 2001 for second-degree assault. And lastly, in 2002 for disorderly conduct. All of these incidents took place in the couple's home at 154 West Rocks Road in Norwalk, Connecticut. And eventually, Valbona left Joe. This brings us to April 8th, 2004. That day, the Danbury police received a call from 27-year-old Marash, Joe's nephew and his business partner. He wanted to file a missing persons report for his uncle since he hadn't been seen or heard from in about 4 days since Sunday the 4th.
And that wasn't like him because, they worked together, right?
Right.
Okay.
According to Marash, that night, Joe left the restaurant after closing time, and the next day he didn't show up for work. Marash wasn't too concerned since Joe had done something similar in the past when he just needed to get away for a bit. And then he'd come back because things did get kind of hectic at the restaurants, and I'm sure managing the other businesses y todo, right?
And then like with this family life falling apart and stuff, that sounds very stressful.
Police began their investigation into Joe's disappearance immediately, and they quickly learned that Joe and his wife, Valbona, were in the middle of a separation, although Joe didn't want it. The two were living apart, and that night that he went missing, Joe called Valbona multiple times asking to get back together. The first time he called, she hung up on him.
Oh, I guess she didn't want to get back together.
Well, if he was beating her, I mean,
I think that he should have left
she had
her.
enough.
I think he should have just left it alone.
Yeah. He called again and again and again until Valbona's roommate answered the phone, and Joe demanded to speak to his wife, and she demanded to stop calling.
Yeah, she's like, ya, deja de estar jodiendo, ya, güey.
He became heated. He started to yell and make demands.
Relax. That's too much.
The roommate told him that he needed to stop or that she was going to contact the police.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that just kind of shows you what kind of, like, how far he would escalate problems, you know? Like, just over the phone, if he was screaming and doing all this shit, like, relax.
Talking shit,
Espérame, porque ya si quieres que me regrese, like, relax.
Mejor
right?
no.
Mejor no.
Of course, investigators contacted Valbona, and when they questioned her about Joe's disappearance, she stated that she didn't know anything and never saw him that night. And as far as her whereabouts that night, she said that she was at home the whole night. Her alibi was, of course, corroborated by her roommate. And so for that time being, she was free to go. Now, her brother, Valbona's brother, was very protective of his sister. And with the turmoil in Valbona's and Joe's relationship, investigators now began to look into him. When investigators spoke with her brother, he stated that, yes, that he was not a fan of Joe or his soon-to-be ex-brother-in-law. He also said that he didn't know that Joe had tried to contact his sister on Sunday night. And as far as where Joe was at the moment, he said that he didn't know anything and hadn't spoken to him. Now, for his alibi, he stated that that day on Sunday, he was with his kids and at his parents' home, which was later confirmed by his parents. And we know this, of course, parents do, will cover for their kids. But that wasn't the case this time. Phone records later placed her brother, Valbona's brother, in a different area other than Danbury, which cleared him as a suspect.
Yeah, because now we're in 2004. No hace mucho de 2004. No hace mucho.
22 years?
No, ma'am. So since it's 2004, but like cell phone towers and stuff like that. So that makes a difference, right?
Yes. Next, investigators decided to retrace Joe's steps.
Since the last person that saw him and stuff like that.
From the night he disappeared. That night, it was a slow night at the restaurant, which was a common occurrence. The once extremely successful restaurant had fallen on hard times.
Oh.
Despite this, Joe didn't let the 5-star status of the restaurant falter. He'd still go out to the main dining area and greet the people he knew, and he would talk to customers, and he wanted to check on the quality of the food, just make sure that it was what they wanted, there wasn't anything wrong with it, and then he'd like he ha ha ha, make little jokes here and there. And he was very personable with the clientele, but not as much as with his staff. So Marash ran like the front of the restaurant, like the waiters, the bartending, the hosting, y todo eso, while Joe ran the back of the restaurant. He was a very demanding boss, and so he wasn't as popular with his kitchen staff. It was reported that he ran a tight ship, a boot camp.
I can imagine him like.
But I've heard this about.
Yes, I was about to say. I've heard that they're like that because when they're like, well, look at Ratatouille. I'm not trying to be funny, but like, no, for real. Like, the thing is, when they have a higher standard, like a 5 Michelin star or whatever it is, and their standards are so high, like they can't have nothing go wrong because whoever it is that might get that food,
it falls on him.
Might put a bad like record on him or something like that. Me imagino. So I've heard of that. Que los chefs son bien putos. Bueno, I'm not talking about all chefs.
Oh, I don't know.
Pero
I always try to watch The Bear because I know it's about that. Pero I only watched 2 episodes and I never went back to it.
No, you know what? That reminds me también of that movie that you told me to watch, and it was like the chef that was cooking people or something like that.
What?
Yeah, I remember it was a series that was on Netflix. What was it called? The Check or something like that.
What?
Yeah, and he was like you're never gonna leave here, and he only invited people that he wanted them
The menu.
The menu, yeah. The check.
I was like, the series. I'm like, what series? No,
Yeah.
the menu, the movie.
The movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a movie. I'm sorry. I thought it was a series. My bad. But yeah, it reminded me of that, like, oh, shit.
Yeah. So, it was reported that it was his way or the highway. He had very high standards, as you just said. And so it was hard to get along with him. However, things were different after work. It is reported that his personality changed and that he was more pleasant to be around and at times joined the staff for drinks.
Well, I mean, that was his job. And what he was just trying to make sure that everything was taken care of at his job. There's some people that take their
And this is his restaurant,
this is his money that's invested.
Not condoning any
absolutely not.
violence
But
or anything,
or for you to be mean to your staff, because I've been there también. Pero the thing is, at the same time, it's understandable.
So after work on Sunday, April 4th, Joe did just that. He and Marash had drinks at Gusto.
What do you think he drank? A martini.
Girl, I have no idea. Prior to this, the two had dinner and drinks at a restaurant in Newtown. So after work, they returned to Gusto and continued drinking, like I just stated. Since it was a slow night, they decided to close the restaurant early at around 11:30 p.m. Now, I don't know what the regular hours were, but that's what was reported, that day they closed early, which was around 11:30 p.m. Things took a turn when out of the window, Marash saw a disgruntled ex-employee of Gusto, Daniel Cruz, who had been allegedly bad-mouthing the restaurant around town.
Oh.
So Daniel and his wife were walking past Gusto to their apartment, which was across the street from the restaurant. So Marash went outside to confront him with Joe not far behind. So the two exchanged some words before Daniel entered his building. Lo fueron a perseguir hasta allá al hombre.
Pero es que ¿para qué? ¿Qué tal if he would have shot you? Like,
that's not funny, but I'm just saying,
it's like, just why are you following him around because of what he's saying about your restaurant? Like, this is just painting a picture of what kind of people, like, how serious their restaurant was to them, I guess, apparently.
Like I said, Daniel, entered the building. Y luego cuando él se metió, Marash then kicked the front door of the building.
Girl.
Which caused damage, and Daniel called the police.
Yeah.
The police arrived shortly after midnight and spoke to Daniel about the verbal altercation with Marash. At this point, Marash and Joe were across the street in front of Gusto, who then they were interviewed by police.
And then what are you going to tell the police? Oh, he was talking shit about my restaurant. Like, how dumb.
The police noted that they were both intoxicated, I'm telling you. Well, they went out to dinner, had drinks, and then they were at Gusto having drinks cuando vieron a Daniel. Marash had calmed down somewhat and said to officers that he would pay for the damage that he caused to the door. But Joe on the other side kept interrupting the officers, continued to yell, and seemed aggressive. Like he was just like getting riled up. The police told Marash to take Joe off the street. Me like, ya llévatelo. Sí. They tried, and then the police officers, they tried to leave twice, but Joe, again, kept on yelling at them, saying that he wanted to fight them.
Oh, Lord.
Marash had to physically restrain Joe and take him inside Gusto since the police had threatened to tase him.
Yo lo hubiera cacheteado. Be like, cálmate con una verga. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
So it was just after 12:30 in the morning. And inside the restaurant, Joe was still fuming and becoming disorderly. He was throwing things, breaking statues, and yelling obscenities. He stormed out of the restaurant, and Marash figured that he was going to go for a walk and cool off. So at 1 a.m, Marash closed the restaurant, set the alarm, and he left. Police then learned that around 3 a.m, a young college student, Kenya Braden, who lived across the street from Gusto as well, heard a loud noise coming from across the street. So she was up late working on a psychology paper and actually witnessed the altercation between Marash and Daniel a couple of hours earlier. So like I said, it was just right after 3 a.m, and she stated she heard things breaking and then that things went quiet. So she peered out of her window and she claimed to have seen on 2 occasions that Joe was attempting to crawl out of the front door of the restaurant on his hands and knees, but was dragged back in by a man whose face she couldn't see.
Oh, shit.
So after Marash...
So como que se quería escapar.
Yes.
He was trying to get away.
Yes.
Okay.
So after Marash left, Joe must have returned to the restaurant, but he wasn't alone. Mm-hmm. So they thought Daniel Cruz, I mean, he had just gotten into altercation a couple of hours before, so, perhaps. Investigators tracked down Daniel and brought him in for an interview. In it, he stated that he, had worked at Gusto for about 3 weeks as a waiter, but wasn't able to get along with Joe because he was so demanding and also due to his attitude. And so he quit. He was upfront about the confrontation he had the night of April 4th with Marash and Joe. And after the police broke up the altercation, he said that he went home with his wife and didn't return to Gusto that night. So his wife then, corroborated his alibi. And then, he was let go. Investigators decided to bring in Marash again to make sure that they had everything clear about what he said had happened that night.
Did you really leave the place or did you do something to your uncle,
And to make sure they hadn't missed anything. So he stuck to his initial statement. Again, when Joe left the restaurant, he thought that he was going to go for a walk to blow off some steam. Not long after, he closed the restaurant and went home. So not feeling right about how Joe had left, Marash called him to see where he was and how he was doing, but he got his voicemail. He figured he'd just see his uncle the following day and then talk to him about it then. But when Marash made it to Gusto the following morning, he saw Joe's cell phone on top of the bar. So the days passed.
But hold on. But the girl said that there was broken.
She
door.
heard.
Yeah, she heard like something was breaking, no?
Yeah.
Oh, but the door was fine when he got there.
Yeah, no, because the door that was fucked up was the guy that they saw walking by his building. He lived across Gusto, and he was walking into where he lived, the apartment complex.
Oh, I thought the girl thought she heard something breaking and that somebody was crawling out. I thought maybe it was the front door of the restaurant. Okay.
The days passed, and after speaking to family and friends and other people in the community, they were no longer closer to finding Joe. But they did find that there were reasons why someone would want Joe to disappear. Again, he made enemies with his attitude. He was just very hard-headed. And he was very quick to anger, and it was just really hard to get along with. For almost 20 days, there were no leads in the case until April 24th. It was Earth Day, and a group of volunteers was cleaning up litter in Bedford, New York, which was just 30 miles from Danbury. The area that they were cleaning was near Interstate 684, and it was a wooded area dead end. So about 3 p.m., David Jussel came across a black trash bag enveloped in flies. I think he was like a teenager. When he opened it, he made a gruesome discovery. In it was a human foot covered in maggots.
Oh, shit.
The police were immediately called, and as they searched the area, they found an additional 5 bags, making it 6 in total. And they all
That's a lot of bags.
And they all contained body parts: a head, limbs, torso, and clothing.
Oh, shit.
The clothing was determined to be a chef suit. And the autopsy was performed at the Westchester County Medical Examiner's Office in Valhalla, New York, the following day. And it was then that through fingerprints, the body was identified as that of missing 41-year-old Joe Vuli.
Oh, he was so young, dude.
Yeah.
41? The fuck? Hey, you know what? I was thinking they were gonna be able to find him because of his criminal, like he had been called and gone to jail probably, or
fingerprints.
So they had his fingerprints. Yeah.
So the ME noted the cause of death as 2 gunshot wounds to the back of the head.
Oh, shit.
In close range. Very execution-like.
Very.
1 bullet was recovered from his head, and the other one seemed to have gone straight through. The recovered bullet was from a .32 caliber automatic handgun, and the other bullet was never found. It was also noted that a saw or blade was used to dismember the body into 7 pieces post-mortem.
Okay, so post-mortem.
It was obvious to detectives that the crime scene was not where Joe's remains were found. With the statement from the young college student who saw Joe being dragged back into the restaurant, it was believed that the murder scene was Gusto. So with the search warrant in hand, they went back to the restaurant where he was last seen alive. Investigators had hopes that they were going to find traces of blood in the restaurant due to the dismemberment of Joe's body. So as the restaurant was thoroughly searched, blood was found, but it was animal blood. It was a steakhouse after all. Every saw, every knife in the kitchen was examined, and 2 butcher's band saws were seized and sent to the state's forensic lab for testing for traces of DNA. But when those results came back, they were negative for any sort of human tissue. The problem now was that since it had been almost 3 weeks, If Joe had been killed at Gusto, as it was suspected he was, someone would have had the opportunity to clean up and do it well. So in the kitchen, there was obviously tile floor that had a drain, sort of like where you go to the gym or whatever, the gym showers. So the kitchen was cleaned thoroughly daily, and any evidence by now would have gone down the drain. While they had no success inside of the restaurant, they did find a possible clue outside. Detectives found a pile of rolled up discarded carpet in the alley behind the restaurant in the trash. So within a week of Joe's disappearance and murder, Gusto had its carpet replaced. Since the carpet was large, CSI took it to a high school gym and rolled it out, and they noticed that there was a 4x12 piece missing. And they learned that this piece would have been right in front of the kitchen floor. This meant that someone who worked in or frequented the restaurant was possibly involved. And so the employees were looked into again, and detectives interviewed close to 50 people who either worked at Gusto in the past or currently, and also regulars of the restaurant. When looking into Marash, again, detectives found something interesting on a leather jacket I think he kept at work. They spotted red stains on it, like speckles.
But it could have been just there.
But it wasn't the only thing that cast some suspicion on him. It also happened that, according to employees of the restaurant, Marash had been previously seen with automatic handguns.
The fuck?
Coupled with the fact that he was also one of the last people to see Joe alive, detectives thought that they might have something on their hands here.
Not only that, pero like if he was trying to calm him down and no hacía caso, and he was trying to tell him, ya cálmate, whatever, like you get frustrated too. And if Joe was coming at him and trying to like be a little aggressive with him, then he probably got pissed.
And he was drunk.
And they were both drunk.
Yeah.
I would look into Marash.
However, when the leather jacket was sent for testing, the results showed that the red stains were not human blood, but instead a tomato-based liquid.
Era ketchup.
No, I think it was like tomato sauce. So in the Albanian culture, extended families maintain close-knit relationships, and there is a huge respect towards elders as they are regarded as the primary source of authority and wisdom. And Marash and Joe were very close. As I mentioned, I think él era hijo de una de sus hermanas.
Okay.
As I mentioned.
So immediate nephew, like it wasn't like a second nephew.
Yeah, no. Yeah. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, Marash was like a son to Joe, so lo llevaban on vacation. Like they were just very close. And after speaking with various people who knew them both, they strongly believed that Marash had nothing to do with what happened to Joe. Now, while there was no physical evidence showing that Joe was killed at the restaurant, it was what investigators believed happened. So they pulled the alarm company's records for that night, and they showed that the alarm was deactivated most of the night, and it wasn't reset until 4 a.m. on April 5th.
And that's not what Marash said.
Yeah, porque dijo que se fue a la 1.
And he put the alarm.
And he did. So he did put the alarm, but it was disarmed, and then...
Okay.
Yeah. The only other person who would have known the alarm's code was Gusto's third partner. Remember the silent partner?
The silent partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to refer to him, as the silent partner, or the third partner. The third partner.
No, the silent partner.
No, I wrote third partner, and it's going to throw me off, so I'm just going to say third partner.
I like silent partner, I'm just saying.
The third partner, he himself had experience working in restaurants, and it was his dream to open up his own restaurant. So he brought in Joe as the head chef due to his reputation. And since he and his family had been in the restaurant business for decades successfully. So third partner told detectives that he didn't have anything to do with what happened to Joe, though the two did clash.
I mean, apparently everybody did.
As many people did. Yeah. He said that Joe was stubborn, a hothead, and when things came to a head between them, he decided to withdraw from the partnership.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he was not even have anything to do with them anymore? Okay.
Also, he was losing a lot of money since Gusto was failing at a rapid rate. And if I'm not mistaken, Joe bought him out or planned to buy him out for his share of the restaurant.
And he was probably like, okay, good, because we're not making any money.
Yeah, and y me caes mal. However, Joe was going through a major financial crisis. By the time he went missing and was found, then murdered, his home had been foreclosed on.
Oh.
He was living in an apartment with Marash, and he was close to filing for bankruptcy if he hadn't already.
Yeah. And then, I mean, and, the problems with his wife and all of that. I mean.
Yeah. Since money was involved, investigators theorized that Joe might have owed third partner money for the buyout, and due to his financial woes, he couldn't pay, and that's why he ended up dead. So it was a possible motive, like a lead that they were, an angle they were trying to work through. Because, when money is involved, everything
money
happens.
Is the root of all evil.
But his alibi for the night Joe was murdered was confirmed, and there was no other reason to believe that he was involved in the murder. Since they did hit another dead end in the case, they decided to investigate from a different angle. The forensic team sent Joe's body parts to a specialist in bone trauma.
In bone trauma? Oh, to see if it was a serrate knife or como?
He examined the ragged edges of where the bones had been sawed through at the joints and was able to pinpoint the exact type of handsaw that was used to dismember Joe.
Oh, okay.
It was a handsaw, and one that had 10 teeth per inch. So during earlier interviews with the restaurant staff, detectives heard about an old saw that was kept at the restaurant for butchering meat. And I think it was one that Joe had brought with him from one of the previous restaurants that he worked at. But no one knew where it was now. And it hadn't been seen since Joe's disappearance. So they were thinking, could this be the saw that had been used to dismember Joe?
Yeah, because those saws are like
Specific
you
type
need
of
like a
saws.
specific type to be able to cut. Because if you're going to be cooking a certain part of like a leg or a shank or something like that, you tampoco no le vas a dar al customer something que no está straight,
But these people they're butchers, so they know
They
what
know
they're doing.
exactly
What they're doing.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying about the saw. There's a particular reason why that saw he brought,
Right, yeah.
And for him to have brought it from another restaurant también.
Yeah. To confirm this, detectives tracked down the owner of the shop that had serviced the saw over the years. He was able to provide them with a replacement blade identical to the one on the missing saw. Mm-hmm. So this replacement blade was turned over to forensics, and an expert tested it against animal bones and compared it to the marks on Joe's bones.
Bien CSI way. Bien Horatio. Bien Horatio.
The marks were the same.
Yes.
This was evidence that Joe was killed and dismembered in his own restaurant. That's crazy.
That mic drop.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. In his own restaurant, bro. And the fact that girl saw him kind of try to get away, that made my stomach hurt. I'm not gonna lie. When you said that, que somebody kept pulling him back, like that gave me like goosebumps.
No, wait. Viste que se agarraron de la greña before.
Yeah.
And then she's over here just trying to complete
her paper. And she's like, ahora que traen estos güeyes. And she looks outside. Imagínate to think that person that you saw like scratching, me imagino como scratching himself.
Yeah, because she said that he was trying to get away he was on his hands and knees.
Ay, ¿te imaginas? No, ay, qué feo.
It's kind of like out of a movie, right? Like a movie scene.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining it in my head. So I'm like, imagine you're just sitting there typing up your stuff and then you just hear, I'm like, ay, estos otra vez andan peleando. And you go look, y nada, que está el pobre el señor. And you didn't even do nothing about it because you're probably like, ay, anda bien pedo.
Yeah.
And he was getting chopped up.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. Or a shot in the head.
Or both. In this case.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
By now, it had been almost a year since Joe was brutally murdered. Due to the brutality.
Did he have kids? Did you mention he did?
Yeah,
right?
he had 2 girls.
He had 2 girls, right? Okay.
Due to the brutality, there was a possibility from the very beginning that the Albanian mob could have been involved. Mm-hmm. So Joe would have had ample opportunity to rub shoulders with these mobsters at the upscale Italian restaurants where he worked in his younger years. That's where he did his apprenticeships y todo eso. When an indictment was unsealed in Manhattan federal court for an organized crime investigation, it was noted that the owner of a Greenwich restaurant was the victim of extortion by the mob. So that restaurant was later named in the Greenwich Times as Valbella, where Joe had been the chef in the 90s. So the interest in that angle resurged when investigators were made aware of a certain rumor. So Joe's family tended to follow up with police from time to time, hoping that they had any sort of lead in the case, right? Mm-hmm. So in one instance, one of Joe's, either a brother or uncle, I'm just going to refer to him as a relative, contacted the detective and shared this said rumor.
Lo que andaban diciendo on the streets.
Yeah. According to this relative, he had been at dinner with a friend of his who was close to an Albanian organized crime figure. This friend told Joe's relative that the mob was responsible for Joe's death since he owed the leader of the group around $200,000, which he hadn't been able to pay. Mm-hmm. So detectives were able to track down the source of the rumor, the relative's friend, right? So according to him, the mob approached Joe to collect his debt. He became outraged and belligerent.
As always. And drunk probably that night.
Stating that he didn't have any money to pay them. As they were discussing it, it was reported that Joe disrespected him in some form. I don't know if he like struck him or, backhanded him. No, I don't know what happened, but it said that he disrespected him or something along those lines. So afterward, the mob man excused himself to go to the restroom. The restroom. It's que he went to go look for the restroom. He returned, and when he returned, Joe's back was to him. So he fired 2 shots into his head and then had him dismembered.
Dude, this is like, whoever this is knows a lot.
Yeah.
Like they're talking like they were there.
Yeah.
Like the detail.
The Albanian
I
mob.
would have been like, decent. I heard. But I wouldn't have been like, no, this is it. Like, for him to be saying that is because he knew something,
The friend had connections to
that's
a
what I'm
figure
saying.
in the Albanian mob.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
So,
because if it was me, I'd be like, yo no sé, pero I heard.
Yeah.
Not like, oh yeah, and then he was turned around and then he shot me. Like, damn, like a lot.
The Albanian mob had a reputation in New York to be one of the most violent and dangerous criminal organizations. The Rudash organization, or the corporation as it was known in the streets, at one point was rumored to have paid NYPD officers off regularly, would shoot up like strip clubs, possess a cornucopia of weapons, including rocket launchers.
A cornucopia? Number 1. And number 2, rocket launchers?
And allegedly put a hit on the former mayor of New York City.
Giuliani.
How did you know?
I know Giuliani.
Oh,
2004.
Oh, you texted him?
He's my friend.
Oh, okay.
We're chilling.
Yeah.
First of all, you said cornucopia. Second of all...
Do you not know what that means?
I know exactly what cornucopia means, but I don't know why. What the hell? And then second of all, rocket launchers?
I just can't picture rocket.
Estos andan al 100, güey. Like, fucking rocket launchers?
No, pues puta, it's an organized crime organization.
Pues sí, güey. Pero rocket launchers? That's some high-tech shit. And then Giuliani?
And so, in the manner that Joe was killed, pues, like, it fits,
Yeah, it fits, yeah.
It's very mob-like, they were thinking.
Very. They think.
Detectives...
Or were they trying to make it look like the mob?
Detectives worked hard for over 2 years to link the Albanian mob to Joe's murder.
They were like, this is it, pero no.
But it wasn't going to be easy to get any information on the mob from somebody,
They're trying to kill Giuliani, bruh.
However, at that time, the FBI had just arrested the top 3 mob bosses in the syndicate, and they had discovered a large amount of weapons. Investigators wondered if any of those weapons were used to kill Joe. They were able to test the guns against a .32 caliber bullet that was used to kill Joe, but none of them matched. But that didn't mean that the mob wasn't involved.
.32 caliber? Is that... I wonder if that's not that big.
Thankfully, one of the arrested mob bosses was willing to talk to detectives.
Okay.
The mob boss told investigators that he knew Joe and knew him as sort of a deadbeat.
Wow.
Yeah. When he was presented with the theory that of their involvement,
he was just a piojo.
Probably the theory of their involvement, he laughed it off. He said that he wouldn't kill anybody over money since a dead man doesn't pay.
Hey, you know what? Absolutely. You know what? Put that on a shirt. Put that shit on a shirt. He's right. A dead man doesn't pay if somebody owes you money, bitch.
It's not funny.
You know what? It's not funny.
No.
But he makes a point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That gives finger claps. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He said, bitch, please.
And then detectives...
I would never put myself in that situation.
For me not to get my money.
Exactly.
Detectives also brought up the part of the rumor where Joe disrespected him. And to that, he said that if that had happened, he would have killed him and left him for his whole family to see. He said that he would not have disposed of his body on the side of a highway.
Makes sense. They're a little bit more cruel, you know?
Yeah.
Not put them in a bag and try to get rid of it. You're right.
So based on wiretaps during the FBI's investigation, there was no conversation ever found about Joe's death. Nothing that pointed that they were involved, truly.
Que será un piojo.
If the mob had been involved, there would have been something in all of the audio, but there was literally nothing. Also, there was no history or movements of any members going to Gusto, and there was also no trace of Joe at any of their known establishments. A financial audit of Gusto showed that there was no money coming in or out from the mob either, and there was nothing linking them to Joe's murder.
They weren't going to kill Joe. They wanted to kill Giuliani. That's big. Like, they weren't going to kill, like, this Joe Schmo.
Literally.
Like,
A
they were
chef.
like, bruh, 200,000? Nah.
Now, it was 3 years after Joe's death, and no arrest had been made. With his uncle Joe no longer at the restaurant, Marash closed it and moved out of the area. Detectives were not giving up, though, and they decided to comb through the case file from the very beginning again. They reread all of the statements and re-interviewed every single person. So on June 8th of 2007, they re-interviewed Kenya Braden, which is a young college student who lived across Gusto in 2004. Again, she claimed that she saw Joe that night being dragged by his shirt back into the restaurant. However, she didn't know who the person was. That's what she said. But that day in June, she told investigators she knew more than she originally told them in 2004. According to Kenya, she knew who Joe's assailant was.
Why didn't she say nothing? They should put her ass in jail.
His nephew, Marash Gojcaj. She added that about 3:30 in the morning, she saw him park a white van in front of the restaurant, got out, took boxes from the back, and then took him inside the restaurant. And she says she didn't say anything initially because she was scared since she had heard rumors that the mob was involved with the restaurant.
Yeah, I would be scared too. I know where she's coming from. And then knowing that it was his nephew, like, that's his family member.
Yeah.
Like, shit, she would be, I would be scared. I'm sorry, but I understand where she's coming from.
And now that Marash was out of the area, she felt comfortable identifying him. So Marash in his statement said that he and Joe got into somewhat struggle when Joe became like unruly and, he was struggling to keep him in check. So could Kenya have possibly just mistaken the time that she saw them? You know what I mean? Like, it could have been right after the whole issue with Daniel, que there would be like, los policías le dijeron, métetelo para adentro, si no le vamos a meter una taste. So they were just wondering, maybe she got the times confused.
Maybe, pero my deal is también, like, she said that he drove up with the white van.
Right, this time.
Yeah.
And in 2007.
In 2007, pero referring to the day of, right? And she pulled out some boxes, he pulled out some boxes. Y luego, I guess that's when she saw Joe after?
No, she saw him being dragged back in and then later at 3:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
In light of the new information, investigators began looking into Marash again, and his phone records were pulled.
I'm sorry, but the whole time I knew it was him.
His phone records were pulled from the early hours of April 5th, and they were able to pinpoint his location. At the beginning, he told investigators that after he left the restaurant, which was around 1 a.m, he went home and stayed there the whole night. But his cell phone location placed him somewhere else. At 4 a.m. on April 5th, he made 3 calls. 2 at 4:10 in the morning, like back to back, like he dialed, hung up, and dialed again. And then another one at 4:24, which pinged phone towers leaving Danbury, contradicting his alibi.
Because he said que he didn't call.
He went home.
He went home.
Y ahí estuvo toda la noche.
Sí, pero luego dijo que he had called his uncle in the morning.
En la madrugada.
Yeah, que she was worried about him y que no le contestó.
Right.
So I guess that he just did that to stay face, I guess.
Maybe. Later that morning, at 9:02, the owner of Daniel Cruz's apartment called Marash about the damaged door. And that call placed Marash at Interstate 684 in Armonk, New York, which is in the interstate where Joe's remains had been found.
Oh, this motherfucker cut him up.
On April 8th, which is when, they filed his missing persons report for Joe. So before he placed that call to police, he made another call. He called a regular carpet cleaner and requested them to come that morning to clean the carpets at the restaurant. The carpets were all cleaned before noon.
But see, whenever you mentioned that they had taken the carpets, there's only one person that would do that.
Later on April 16th, he went a step further and went to the local carpet manufacturer and let them know that he wanted the carpets in the restaurant replaced. He also wanted something that they had already in stock, nothing that they needed to order, and he needed it done ASAP. The store owner was taken aback by his request, not only because of the urgency, but also because the carpet in the restaurant was less than a year old. When the installers arrived at Gusto, Marash had already removed the carpeting himself.
Oh.
And
he was like, "Oh, I was trying to help you guys out."
Yeah, a little discount.
Just got a little discount. You know, can I get 50%, 20% off?
10%.
Because I did it myself? No, sir. No.
And he placed it outside in the dumpster, which is when the police found it later. So by March 2008, investigators secured an arrest warrant for Marash. His last known address. His last known address was in Ossining, New York. And when detectives went to take him into custody, they found that he was already in jail on his third DUI.
Interesting.
Over the years, Marash had plenty of run-ins with law enforcement. Besides the 3 drunken driving convictions, there was also a case pending against him where a woman accused him of not letting her out of the elevator, and he groped her.
Oh, okay. We're just gonna disregard anybody's body, and you're just gonna touch everybody. Okay.
So investigators had to wait until he finished serving his jail sentence so they could arrest him for Joe now. But in the meantime, while Marash was serving his time at the Westchester County Correctional Facility in February of 2008, he asked another inmate, Anthony D'Amato, who worked as a librarian, if there was a statute of limitations for murder. Later, Anthony, he was like, "Oh, fuck.
I ain't fucking with this, bro.
I'm just trying to
I'm just a librarian.
I'm just here trying to, I have my love for books.
I love books.
And I'm trying to change my life, and you're over here talking to me about...
Don't give me information.
Right.
Like, don't give me shit. Like, that would be me in jail. But like, no me digas nada. Just keep it to yourself.
Speak to a psychologist.
Yeah.
Call
like,
a priest.
I'm not a doctor. Keep it to
professional.
yourself. Yeah.
So Mr. Anthony, he was like, I'm going to type this letter up and send it to the Connecticut prosecutors.
As you should, Mr. Anthony. Thank you very much for your service in the library.
So Mr. Anthony, he stated in that letter that Marash told him that, quote, he killed his uncle, shot him dead, and then cut him into pieces, and that he was intoxicated at the time, end quote.
Dude, like, once again, we go back to the same thing. These people, like, you go and you tell the jail people that are with you, the inmates, that are with you, that you think that they're going to keep your secret, or que vergas, like,
no, it's like, I feel like everybody's looking out for themselves. Like, if I have information that might get me out of here earlier.
Absolutely. I'm not going to go and tell you my business. I'm going to sing like a little bird, girl. Once again, we're glad that they're idiots.
Yeah.
Because they do stuff like that. But it's just like, really?
It's not that deep, I think. Control yourself.
Yeah.
Or don't drink.
Don't drink.
For reals.
So you got so drunk that you're able to have the courage to shoot somebody in the head and twice and then cut them into pieces, and then primero tienes que ir a buscar la bolsa de la basura. You have to go find the trash bag.
No, bitch, you have to make the decision.
Hold on. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let's say you shoot them right at that moment. You're like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? So you're like, oh, how about I cut them up? And then you have to
cover it up.
To cover it up, yeah. Right? Okay. You have to go find the trash bags. Bring all the trash bags in, cut them up. Like,
I wonder if that moment you even realize what you've done. You know what I mean?
I mean,
or do you just disassociate and you're just going through the motions?
I just feel like this is wild. This is wild because it's like, this is your uncle. Like, this is your family. That,
I mean, he might have
saw you as your...
He might have been shit too, right? But he didn't deserve to die that way.
Nobody deserves to die like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's some people that do.
Yeah.
That have done some bad stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, where did it go from I'm drunk to I'm going to cut you up?
Right.
That's my question.
We'll get there. But I mean, it was like, hey, he was probably frustrated with his uncle. He was losing a lot of money because of him too. He was like, I don't know. Y de por sí vivían juntos. Maybe like you know, they were just spending too much. I don't know. But anyways, Marash was finally arrested on August 19, 2008, and was charged with Joe Vuli's murder. And he pleaded not guilty.
Oh, of course he did. Because he wasn't there?
His trial began on September 29, 2010. Though the prosecution's case against Marash was circumstantial because there was no physical evidence.
That's true.
But they did have strong evidence. They believe that the following is what happened on the night of April 1st.
Not the April 1st.
April 4th into the early mornings of April 5th. Marash was stressed out about the restaurant and, you know, its financial issues, and possibly blamed his uncle for it and his nasty-ass attitude. That night, obviously, they had been drinking aplenty. So when Joe went off, you know, que lo metieron para dentro del restaurante from the street, he, like I said, he started throwing shit, breaking stuff, yelling, and, fighting him, right? Marash just snapped. And with alcohol in his system, he turned on his uncle. Joel tried to get away, which is the moment that Kenya saw from her window. And after being dragged back inside the restaurant, Marash shot Joe in the back of the head. And to cover it up, he decided to dismember him. Again, crazy. Makes no fucking sense.
No sense.
He then loaded up the remains onto a cargo van and drove 30 miles to dispose of them by the side of the road. And with the carpet change and the daily cleaning at the restaurant, Marash believed that he had probably gotten away with murder. Mm-hmm. Now, the defense had a rebuttal for every piece of evidence. Most importantly, there wasn't any clear motive for the murder, right? And there was no physical evidence linking Marash to Joe's murder. There was no blood found anywhere, no DNA tissue.
They didn't know where the saw was.
Right, never found
where
it.
was the piece of the
carpet that was missing? They never found it. Nothing, right? So after weeks of trial, with more than 50 witnesses called to the stand and about 300 exhibits used, the jury returned its verdict on Friday, November 5th. So after 3 days of deliberation, they found Marash Gojcaj guilty of Joe's murder. And then he was later sentenced to 50 years in prison. And that is the case of Joe Vuli.
A necessary case of Joe Vuli. I get it. He was not, you're a piece of shit. I mean, come on. You're rude and you're mean and all these things.
To your wife.
And, whatever. You put your hands on women. Okay. But.
Not okay, but okay. You know what I mean?
Meaning, I understand, but not okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, at what point does this Marash decide, I'm going to cut my uncle up? I understand that you're pissed. Because everything, and he's acting up and throwing shit, and you're about to get me, in jail and shit. But then what point you're like, you know what? I'm going to cut this
You know what?
up.
But it's not even that. I'm like, okay, you shoot somebody and be like, me caíste mal, I'm going to shoot you in the leg.
Yeah.
But you shot him in the back of the head twice.
That means he was turned around. That means he was either walking away from you or he was not.
Cuando lo arrastró, lo tuve que ver arrastrado por atrás y a lo mejor
and shot him, yeah. Pero, I mean, it's like this guy was trying to get away from you for a reason. Maybe he pulled the gun out on him and he's like, hey, I'm going to shoot you. And then that's when, Joe was like, let me get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And that's when he, que lo arrastró. He's like, oh, no, I'm going to, Yeah. Because the thing is, like I said, I mean, dude,
and
he brought him back.
They were both drunk. And Joe was 41 and then Marash 27, right?
Okay, I get that. That doesn't make a difference because there's a lot of 41-year-olds that were still young. Just saying. But what I mean is that you took him back. Like, oh no, you're not going anywhere. I'm killing your ass.
That didn't wake you up, that he tried to get away from you and almost made it out the door.
Instead of just letting him go, just let him go or whatever it is.
Like maybe you guys were like wrestling and fighting, but I mean.
And then you go home after you cut him up.
No.
He
was out in the streets.
He was out on the streets trying to get rid of the bodies and stuff like that. But I just, to me, the whole crazy part to me is like, how in the fuck do you just go and get trash bags from under the sink and be like, I'm going to put these body parts in here? Like, that's just mind-boggling.
That's what I'm saying. Do you just disassociate and you just go through the motions? I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, well, let us know what you think. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on Instagram at
Cafecito and Crime Pod. And if you would like to download our episodes, leave us a review and or rate us. We would really appreciate it.
And we will talk to you in the next one.
Bye.